Board games, board games, it's what I'm talking about. Board games, it's. I'm gonna not shout because I'm in the garden and other people may be sleeping. And I am singing. And I'm going to talk about some board games. And today I'm going to brainstorm a new game that I'm going to make based on some random inputs that I don't yet know what the random input will be. And I'm not going to stop singing a song because the song is terrible. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another Bezzy breakfast board game Blether. Um, I am outside in the garden, as you may see. I've got my jackets on, I've got 3 layers on, but I am determined to be outside and enjoy the natural lights as opposed to indoors where it's a little bit more dark. And today it's all about, making a brand new board game. Now, before I make a brand new board game, I'd like to talk about what happened last time. I'd like to talk about recent joys, about games that I've played, and a brilliant thing. And then I'll actually get some random inspiration from some page on the internet, or if people want to shout out random inspiration in the comments, whichever side it may be on. And I will try and use all that to make a game. Now, the game, as we all know, any first prototype, it's not likely to be a good game. It's quite likely to be terrible, in fact. Let's talk about what happened last time we did this. Now, last time we did this, I invented a game which was about sorts of drafting cards using my Wibble deck. I was constantly adding cards to an ever-growing line of cards, trying to take away cards, to remove cards, so that I would always never have too many cards in my hand, otherwise I would suddenly die. And that was an okay game. It was a bit dull, to be honest. It was a bit too easy. And then Alan Oughton suggested I try to make the word death, which was actually interesting. And I was excited to play it, and I enjoyed it a few times. And then later that same day, I played it maybe 3 or 4 times, and I realized that, interestingly, the word DEATH, if you look at the top 3 suits of the deck, the letters DEATH do all appear on single cards. So that's helped to get rid of the variance a little bit. But then I found that there was still too much variance. There's the opportunity for you to achieve the word straight away, achieve the death, or there's the opportunity for it to never come at the end, and that variance was something that I just couldn't get over. There's a possibility to totally change it, to make it a competitive game where you're maybe messing with other people, but right now I wasn't quite sure how to proceed, and something interesting in there, but I'm going to put it on the back burner. And that's the way it happens with a lot of games, that there's something fun, but it's not brilliant, and there's no easy way to proceed. Sometimes when there's no easy way to proceed, just take a step back. And we'll see how we get on today. Will it be a genius idea, or will it be a mediocre thing, or will it be terrible? There's only one way to know, which is to do it. First, I'm going to talk about brilliant, brilliant, brilliant things. Here's a thing that is brilliant. I want to talk about bees. I mean, bees are super awesome. I mean, plant some flowers, get some more bees. We need more bees to pollinate our stuff. I mean, bees are a vital thing of the ecosystem. And yeah, when you're, I mean, don't care about the wasps. I mean, I'm not big on them, but but bees are so important to us. Oh, look, little cat. Hello. But yeah, bees are brilliant. Now let's talk about games that I've been playing recently. So yesterday, after a break on Monday night, on Tuesday I had our live streaming games, which was super fun. What did we play? We played balanceable, which worked okay. But some of the people didn't quite understand the rules, so it strikes me that I need some better visual examples or a video or a rule sheet. And so that's something that I might start doing. Get Chris to videotape me doing a few videos of, hey, this is how to play this game. And then hopefully with that information, more people can play some of the solitaire or massively multiplayer solitaire games for the LDEC. We also tried playing Chris Buckley's game, The Audition. The tech didn't quite work for Doric. That was cards.io. It was glitching all over the place for at least one person. And we ended up playing Say Anything. Say Anything continues to be a brilliant game. The more I play it, the more I kind of feel like the point system might be a little bit more complicated than necessary. I wonder if it could just be a game where everybody's the judge, and yeah, everybody says something, and I don't know. I feel like I really like the central concept. I don't know if Say Anything was the first game to take the whole apples to apples scenario of, hey, here's a question, here's a prompt, give me a response, but then you are literally allowed to write anything using this whiteboard, and that whiteboard marker technology is brilliant. But then what if just everyone were voting on everyone else? That feels like... The truth is that there's a dichotomy in party games between having something that's simple and something that's fun, and on the other hand, having something that's resilient to someone trying to potentially abuse the system. So in a game of Say Anything, the incentives are very well aligned in that whether you're the person who afterwards, you want to, as the judge, you want to be honest, because if people vote for who you think you'll vote, basically I'm struggling. The rules are actually complicated for a party game. I'll do a review of Say Anything at some point. I'll really dissect it, but it's good. I'm starting to wonder if it could be a little bit simpler and still have all the joy that it has. And I'm also starting to feel not great about a lot of the questions. But I appreciate that making that kind of content is actually a really difficult thing. So I don't want to take away the hard work that they did. And I do want to acknowledge that in the 12 years, because it was created in 2008, there have been advances. There have been more games using whiteboard markers. There have been more party games and massive advances like, just one or Wavelength, which no one would have thought of even 3 years ago. So yeah, anyway, those are some games that I've played. What else have I enjoyed? I have been proud of yesterday. I did a good solid workout, 72 sit-ups without hooking my feet on anything, and a 10-minute video. I'm very chuffed with that. And so that is what I've been up to, what I've enjoyed, and some brilliant things. If you would like to share a brilliant thing, then please let me know in the YouTube or Facebook comments. This is being cast over both mediums. Otherwise, it's all good. I'm going to just now share my screen and share Mozilla Firefox. So board game random ideas. Let's see what happens here. Meet Polite Costs, board game idea generator. Oh, I've not seen that one. I think I have seen. So this is by Meatballs Like Us, who's all about accessibility. And so this is an interesting option. So basically what Meatballs Like Us is all about is they are sorts of review websites where they alternate between reviews and teardowns. The reviews basically talk about how good or how much they like a game. And then the teardowns say, hey, is this colorblind friendly? Is it friendly to people who are completely visually impaired and can't see anything? Is it friendly to people who have physical impairments? And so that's a really interesting thing. Okay, so let's make dominant cultural inspiration. So share this link. Let's see what happens if I click there. Mongol, I know nothing about the Mongols, so I'm going to ignore that, because one thing about drawing on cultures, I think that either you've got to do it properly and yeah, really gets into it, double check that you're not misappropriating anything, or maybe just steer clear. I mean, I hear that the Mongols were quite warlike. I mean, I could just look that up on Wikipedia, Mongol Empire. Yep, there's a lot of land, apparently. The notion of being warlike might have just been because we hear everything is Western-centric, and maybe we're just told bad things about them. I don't know. Lots of no bad. So there's, yeah, presumably lots of little bits going into things. I could see how that could relate to a game. So I've got to be inspired by the Mongol Empire, apparently, according to the Meeples Like Us board game idea generator seed. That's what I've committed to. These things. Dice rolling. Luckily, I brought two quite large D6 with me. Physical gestures. That's a fun thing. And that could also translate well onto video. I like where this is going. Drawing from the following themes: childhood, public relations, and ideally addressing the following accessibility needs. Can be played with visual impairments, can be played without fine-grained motor control, and makes use of unique tokens for everything. And the reason for them asking for unique tokens is that, let's say you've got a game where you've got money, and then you've got 1, and you've got 5, and you've got 10. If all of these tokens are the same size and shape, then that means that someone who cannot see the number on the token won't be able to tell them apart. So what you've got to do is you've got to double code that information and look at actual currency and have them in bigger sizes. So that's why Meeples Like Us is saying to make use of unique tokens for everything. So they're not saying use a lots of different tokens, just they've got to be unique. I would say that this and this are kind of diametrically opposed, but let's just try to get as much as we can. So, a dice rolling physical gesture game about childhood. Okay, let's just ramble off some ideas. Okay, maybe I am pointing to parts of my childhood. Maybe I am with these numbers trying to use the clock face, because you know that's a thing that we learn during childhood. Maybe it's a game about telling the time. I mean, this adds up from 2 to 12, so that's almost like a 12 clock. Like you could say, okay, and then you roll it twice, and maybe that's the time that you need to say. That seems like a terrible game. Like, so you roll the dice, you indicate the thing, and everyone needs to say, hey, that's the time that you're indicating. That would be a decent, like, playground activity for, you know, someone who's learning the time, and then maybe you take turns to do it. But that's not quite what I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to make something that I can actually reach that audience. Now, there's a little bit of, so what I just said, like that, again, that could be a good game if I had some children that I was trying to teach the time to. And so I don't want to denigrate games like that are good for these small target audiences. But there is, can I reach that audience? And so can I reach, I mean, could there be a small pack of games that, give to teachers or parents, maybe for education at home? That would be an interesting thing. Maybe you've got to roll some dice. Maybe this is just a counting game for children. Maybe you roll the dice and then you've got to click, and then people have to shout out what number you guessed. I mean, that doesn't seem like there's any challenge. It feels like everyone's going to guess the number straight away. And just a quick break, I guess, saying hello to Jessica Sankey. Seeing where you are? I'm quite good. I'm struggling to come up with a game. And part of that game is, okay, who is the target audience? I think I like the idea of making it for kids, But then there needs to be some challenge. I would like to make a game with a winner and a loser. I don't want it to just be a parent-child activity where they go, and then, hey, what if you had to do this really quickly? So at least half the people need to be able to guess the number, but but if at least one person gets it wrong because you've done the thing so quickly, so that was 7, maybe you managed to count, maybe didn't, so you need to have half the people guess it correctly, so that keeps you honest, that makes sure that you are clapping correctly, and you need to make sure that you're getting it fast enough so that one person gets it wrong, but maybe they're going to be really just feeling horrible because you don't want to have, okay, these people succeed, this one person loses. That's also kind of quite a bad experience. Thank you very much, Richard Head. That's very kind of you to say. As you'll notice, this is a bit of a different vibe. And Bezzy, Breakfast, Board Game, Blether. We've got, I'm trying to make a game based on these things. So, dice rolling and physical gestures, and then something to do with childhood, which I guess is really what drew me down to the wanting to make a childhood game, because I started off with the whole clock face thing. Now, I can't, this is a lot of constraints, but we'll see how many we can fit in. But so public relations, what if I'm trying to give some information to someone else, and a card is flipped over, maybe from the L deck, and I shout, I have to shout a word, I roll a die, and I come up with a word of this length. So a 4-letter word using either, what if everyone has to 4-letter words using one of these, starting with one of these letters? So I guess there would be gate, snap, stop, things like that. Now, making words based on these letters, maybe it's the typical, you want to make words that no one else made, or maybe it's going to the hive mind system. Maybe, because that's a really brilliant system that Richard Garfield made. I will, just to give a shout out to Hive Mind Board Game Geek. This is a wonderful game by Richard Garfield. I think it was originally created in the 90s, 1998. What were you thinking? Re-implemented by Hive Mind in 2016, which was... So that game is all about trying to be the same as other people, and you score points if you are the same. And that means that maybe everyone gets to write down 3 words, and for each word, they get points equal to how many other people also wrote that word. That could be interesting. Yeah. So, and we've got an idea from Richard Head. Card bingo. You have a paper sheet with all different suits and numbers, and you shuffle the cards and keep turning them over until someone wins. And the adult version, the losers have to remove a piece of clothing. I mean, that's a fine game. I'm trying to still do something that's, yeah, does fit in with these. I guess that's got some bingo. Probably not the way that I want to take the game, but I massively appreciate that. I think, Richard, are you willing to play this game with me? Let's say, I mean, we can only really play this game, I guess it's got to be 3 or more, because with 2 players, it's 0 sum, because either you match, in which case you both get 1 point, and, or you don't get a point. And please, Richard, you never have to apologize. It's all good. And I massively appreciate your input. This is what it's all about. It's just about seeing things and trying them, and then seeing if something else works, and just thinking, is this what I want to go for? And I guess there's the aspect of what am I trying to achieve? What am I trying to do with this whole thing? I'm trying to make something somewhat original. I mean, card bingo is in itself an interesting thought experiment, but yeah, just because I dismiss it doesn't mean that you can't take it on board. And so please, there's always going to be ideas that I just dismiss. But let's say four-letter words starting with S, and then we've got or G, then that would actually mean that people have to choose one of them. Would that be later? Yeah, I don't know. So that feels like it would be a random chance, whereas the four-letter word starting with one of these, actually, maybe it's like, okay, what is the clearly most obvious word? I would say stop, snap, and golf, probably. Richard asks if I will be on later, and just to say my schedule is I am on every day, 10 a.m. UK time, and Tuesdays and Thursdays a bit after 8 p.m. UK time. And I'm thinking of just setting up a whole bunch of streams like a few days in advance, because up until now I've been doing it just within the previous 24 hours. Let me know if you'd like me to change that. So, getting back to this game, I mean, this is not a very original game, but so we've got some rules. Flip over a card, roll a die, and word, write three words. Three seems like starting with starts with either letter with that length, with X or Y of Z's length. And for each match, you get 1 point. And that could be the entire game. That feels like, yeah, I have no idea whether that will be a good game or not unless I'm actually going to play it. And this is kind of where playtesting comes in. And so I'm happy with that. It's actually 20, like probably 15 minutes in, and I feel like I've made a game that's marginally different. It's very simplified. It's something that maybe parents could play with children and or in classes over Zoom. And I really need to get in touch with Kathleen Mercury to ask if I can play with their students. And bye for now, Richard. Just to thank you for the compliment on last night's show. Just to reiterate, the board game Blethers are all a wee bit different. The Tuesdays and Thursdays are all about the game playing. And I get a chance to playtest on the Friday, which I would definitely do. So let's leave that aside, because I don't think I can go anywhere more with this without actually. So I've written down the rules, and I'm drawing a line under it. You can see that's a big bold line. And so now let's think of another game using the same things: dice rolling, physical gestures, and childhood. I mean, what if I wanted to make a whole bunch of games like just for kids to play with their parents? These are just things I'm thinking of. Genuinely, I play games with my nieces every Saturday and or Sunday, and so we play as a family. It's myself, my mum and dad who are getting on a bit and maybe struggle to comprehend some games, one of my older siblings, another one of my siblings, their family, and two tiny nieces who are 8 and 10. And so that is the sort of environment where this game might actually work. Now, dice rolling. What have you got with a die? You've got the numbers. You've got the orientation. What if you had to roll a die, but you had to roll it from one hand onto the other? I mean, is that a game? Oh, what if you have to roll it from the hand onto the back of a hand? Or, I mean, onto the front of a hand seems like quite easy, but onto the back of a hand, oh, that feels like that could be the start of a game. Actually, maybe not. It's just like And then what am I doing? Am I trying to get the number? I mean, that's fundamentally what you're normally doing with dice. How does the number work? I don't know. Maybe this is how many times I need to throw it into the air. So like I've got to 2, so I throw it 1. So I managed to fail. So I start by rolling it onto the back of my hand. And maybe this is a solo game, I don't know, a physical dexterity challenge. And then I've rolled a 4, so I need to go 1, 2, no, and this is a terrible game. I mean, it's amusing, it's an activity, I don't see a game in it, because if I roll a 1 and I've got to just do 1 and then I win, that's a bit rubbish. Man, today's brainstorm is not going very well. This is the way it goes sometimes. Yeah, let me distract myself. Let's get to new board game idea. Oh yeah, it's taking a bit of time. Variable, let's do a completely different thing. Randomizer, board game design idea generator. So the mechanics are pattern recognition. The theme is wildlife and planet Earth. And the victory is victory points, and the constraint is you can't play it on a table. So, maybe pattern recognition, wildlife, victory points, and can't play on a table. So maybe you've got animals. Maybe all the cards have animals on them, and maybe you're trying to match bits of animals. Maybe you have to, maybe all the animals. No, I'm just now thinking of that game, Galapagos, the card game where there's animals made of different bits. I mean, I was thinking of a version where the animals are made up of like 3 or 4 different animals, and then you've got to match the animal parts that are the same. But that doesn't seem that exciting. Or is it? I mean, and the notion of victory being victory points, I just want to go on a rant. What on earth does victory points even mean? It's just victory point. Fundamentally, there's very few ways to win a game. Arguably, like there's 4 ways to end a game. It's like to end a game. It's like when X happens, the game ends, or like, and you're trying to be the first to achieve X, or maybe you're trying to be the last to achieve X. So like first to achieve X might be, okay, you've got Risk, world domination. Last to achieve X might be Jenga. You're trying to be the last to make it collapse. Most points, which might be something like, I guess Monopoly is a combination of last to be out of the game and most victory points, which is economy. And but then there's the fewest points, and normally the victory points, it's something more like Small World, where you play a set number of rounds, everyone's still in the game and you've got points. So I guess this is basically saying you've got some points are good. And what's if you get some number of cards? I mean, bringing cards together, is that different enough from Galapagos? I mean, I think it is. Like, what's if you've just, I mean, it only uses the mixture of animals from that game. So what's if you've got like these crazy mashup like a sphinx and like different body parts, and maybe the individual body parts are similar but not quite the same. I guess like I'm just regurgitating stuff. I don't feel happy with my ideas today. That's just Jungle Speed over again. I'm just going to admit it. And so what's if like if you see 2 matches where one body part is a perfect match, then you grab the cards. That could be a thing. Or maybe you've got to have cards where nothing matches. That could be a thing. Cards where there's different body parts. Let's say there's monsters, and so they've got like, let's say 5 eyeballs. And if you grab 2 cards, and if any of their eyeballs match, then you've lost. But if they didn't match, then it's a point. That would be marginally interesting, maybe. The problem with not matching, as I found with Reverse Grabble, where we had to say, okay, top letter is different, that's different, that's different, that's different. Okay, that's okay. Next card, that, and it takes a lot more effort to check the absence of something than to check for something. I mean, I know that in the real world, you can't check for the absence of something in theory. Like, I mean, I guess that goes into theology. Like, you can't really prove the absence of God. In theory, the existence of something could be proven. Like, the whole, okay, you can't prove the absence of a tiny teapot that's floating around in front of the sun. There's that old thought experiment, and as soon as our measurement devices improve, you can say, well, the teapot's a bit smaller than our best measurement devices. Now, so that leads me back to the point that it is harder to check the absence of something, but with discrete things, when you only say, okay, there's 3 things that you need to check amongst, then maybe that's okay. So let's say there was 2 possibilities on each thing. How many cards would you have to flip over until there's probably a null match? Like, as in, let's say there were... So the possibility of a match with... this is where we get bogged down in mathematics, because that's what all games come down to. So 3 is 2 to the 3 is 2, 4, 8. So you've got, I think, 1 in 8 possibility of there being no match. So maybe once you've got 8 cards, there will once you've got the 8 cards that are all the possible ones, the only problem is that the 9th card, and no, it's not quite. There's 8 possibilities. So there's, if you wanted 50% possibility, then that would be about, once there's 5 cards on the table, you're probably going to have the match. And what's if there's, let's, 3 to the 3. 3 to the 3 is 927. So that seems like an interesting number. 27 times 2 is 54, which is a cards deck, which, this is really exciting for me. I mean, this is where I get excited, because a typical pack deck of cards that you make, that you print, is going to be 55 cards with a normal print run. Maybe if it's something themed around wildlife or nature, and you're trying to recognize the absence of patterns, and I'm going to ignore the constraints. Is there a way to make this? I like my game. I like just saying, okay, there's the head of a thing, there's the head of a monster, and then there's the body of a monster, and there's a little leg, and it's like those mashup things. That's a really bad yeah, so that's what 1 card would look like. That's not 3 cards. That could totally be a game. Just who flips over the cards? Okay, maybe each person in turn has to flip, or maybe one person is the judge, and then when other person slams the card that's just been flipped over, then they need to say, okay, there's been no matches within these things. That might be, yeah, interesting. So yeah, that's a thing that requires potential pondering. And Alan Oughton, hello, morning to you, Alan. Hope you're well. Alan suggests something around the garden, perhaps. Find 2 blades of grass that are identical. And or maybe fallen leaves. Oh, I like this. Yeah, I don't want to kill the grass. I like this. Or maybe, what if you have to? What if someone has? Okay, here's a leaf. Now everyone else has to find a leaf that's as close to the length of this as possible, and everyone else goes hunting for the leaves. And then people come up with these leaves, and they say, okay, this is my offering. And then you say, okay, this one is, yeah, that's actually quite a bit longer, a little bit longer. And that one's quite a bit shorter. But that one's the closer, I guess. Maybe you want to be the closest without going over. that would be quite easy to do, because if it's the closest, then okay, this one's a little bit shorter, this one's a little bit longer. That might be difficult. Maybe just work on the stalk of the leaf. I like this. This could totally be a game for kids to play. Like, okay, an adult find fallen leaf, and then do you measure the whole leaf, or do you measure maybe just the stalky bit? Oops, a little insect. So maybe measuring the whole leaf, and then, yeah, kids have to bring along a leaf, and then the winner is the one who is the closest without going over, and then they get to leaf as a point. And then you play again. That could be genuinely a fun activity for kids who are, in the garden or on some sorts of nature walk. Find a leaf closest without going over. I like this. But that kind of leads me back to what I was saying before about, can I reach the target audience? Because every game could be good for someone, but it's about, do I have the potential to actually reach those people? And ultimately, you need to be able to say who is this for, so that you can say, hey, I know that you like strategic games. If so, then this game is completely not for you. In the same way that if someone only likes thematic, strategic, 2-hour epic games, I would say, yeah, don't bother playing Yogi. It's completely not for you. And indeed, don't play Wibble or Categorical, unless you enjoy a short-paced thing. So I feel like, yeah, we're doing a few different things, it seems like. So let's go back to the steal this idea. Is this a board game generation thing? I don't know. If you read this piece, you have to, oh, this is meant to be like ideas that are, yeah, sorry, rules. If you read this, you have to give back by post. I don't like it when people say, oh, if you see this, you have to tell me what your favorite food is, or if you see this, you have to give one thing. Random game generator. Random idea generator. Let's see what happens. Random board game idea generator. 1.0, Poison Apple shirts. Thank you very much for this, Poison Apple shirts, if it is any good. And I seem to be getting a 504. I think that yeah, these are all. Why am I not finding anything? Randomizer and the. Okay, something that's real time, something about Chinese or species or time travel. I like time travel. The victory is to spend all your money to be the first to achieve 0. Interesting. And the constraint is you can play it in a bar. Okay, let's try and think about this. Okay, let's think about a real-time game where you're trying to spend all your money, and you try to, well, imagine playing with real money where you're actually trying to spend all your. Okay. So something about time travel. Why is that involved? Maybe you're going back in time and you're giving other people money, or maybe you're trying to put all your money on a time travel thing, or sorry, maybe you're so everyone starts off with some number of cards. Maybe that's your money. It doesn't really matter what these cards are. This is my money. I'm trying to make terrible deals and to spend money and to get rid of things. And if so, it's a race to be like, boom, I've managed to. Yeah, how do you spend money? Maybe to spend money, there's people. around that are money has to come out of the economy somehow. If you want it to tend towards zero, then money has to come out of this game economy. So maybe you're trading with non-player characters. They're not just buying from other players. Maybe you're trying. Let's properties, monopoly, drinks, consumerism. Okay, so you're buying drinks. That seems appropriate, since it can be. It's themed around a bar and it can be played in a bar. Maybe let's see what happens. Okay, so there's drinks, and maybe you have cards that are different styles of drink, and if you know a cocktail that goes with, so maybe you see all the ingredients, and then you've got to ask for the priciest cocktail, and you kind of have to know the name of the cocktail. Maybe that becomes just a cocktail trivia game. Man, and Alan Elton, going back, I just noticed I missed a post saying that leaf measuring is a popular game in Mongolia. Is that actually true? I mean, is leaf measuring a popular game in Mongolia? Or is that just completely tongue-in-cheek? I assume it's tongue-in-cheek. Oh, by the way, Alan, I posted something to you yesterday. Sorry I didn't email you. But yeah, go to the post office. That is a thing I believe I did yesterday. I'm fairly sure I did it yesterday, yeah. Days are blurring into one another, and I forgot to talk about that. Yesterday I went to the post office, was far better than Mondays normally are. Monday last time was 75 minutes. Yesterday it was only about 35 minutes in the queue. Posted some essential stuff to my sister, a couple of orders, and a favour for a friend. But anyway, so that's on its way to you, Alan, and thank you for your order. So going back to this spend most money, I mean, it makes me think of Brewster's Millions, which I'm not sure I've ever actually watched, but I know it, and I know there's that one board game that's kind of themed around it. Nah, I'm coming up blank. Oh, what's announced? Oh yeah, the announcements. I'll announce, because yesterday I said that there was going to be an announcement that I thought the company would share yesterday. They still haven't, but there is a game. I'm proud to tell you about it. But yeah, yesterday the company hasn't yet made the announcements. We have signed contracts, but I want to let the company announce it themselves first. And time and money travel quickly in bars. That's an interesting observation. So maybe with the money, you're buying the time, like you're buying the drink, and then the drink makes you jump forwards in time somehow. That would be interesting. Yeah. Like, okay, let's think of 20 terrible ideas. Just sometimes this is a good exercise. When I can't think of any good ideas, it's like, okay, let's think of 20 terrible ideas. Okay, roll the dice, add them up. First person to add them up gets a point. Okay, roll the dice, and multiply them or perform. There's going to be lots of variations of this. Multiply them. First person to multiply them gets a point. Roll the die. Maybe everyone talks about, okay, this is what my total is, and everyone now quickly as they can has to add up all the hidden dice. So you've got one central die, and let me talk that. So you've got one central die, and everyone has like one secret die. So I would say 7, someone else would say 3, you would say 4, and I have to think, okay, that's 5 plus 1 plus 2 is 8. And so it's a game of practicing arithmetic. This is a terrible game, which is exactly what's wanted. Okay, roll the dice, and first person to grab exactly that many beans from the middle of the table gets a point. Maybe you've got dried beans in the middle of the table. I don't know why I didn't mention that. And then you put the beans back. But if you grab too many beans, you lose. Or roll the dice. Here's the one that's actually game number 5. This is getting interesting. So roll the dice. Everyone has maybe 12, or roll one die. Everyone has 6 beans, and then you need to throw that many beans into a little cup that's in the middle of the table. So you've got your beans, and then you're throwing them in. And first person to get exactly 4 beans in the little cup says, yay, and then everyone stops, and then you check that they got those many beans, and either they win one more bean, or everyone else gets one more bean if they were wrong, but the beans have to be your color, so maybe it's just you get a point and you mark the points somehow, but first person to so many points wins. Okay, game number 6. Okay, you need to roll a die and stack it. Stack that many dice? That's terrible. Okay, you need to game number 7. You roll dice, and then you roll 3 dice, and then you need to work out the average. Why is my brain just going to math puzzles? I mean, I guess games are kind of about math puzzles ultimately, but you want to try and make it more thematic. Okay, roll 1 die, and the first person to hop that many times wins a point. That's really hard to judge. This is game number 8. And that's going to lead to lots of screaming. That's terrible for so many reasons. Okay. Roll a die, and you stare at it until the heat death of the universe, and the last person to be staring at it wins. This is game number 9. Oh my god, these games are getting worse. Roll 2 dice, and drink that many milliliters of water, and you actually measure the remaining water in milliliters, so you actually check if you are correct or not. So it's a game of estimating how many milliliters of water you drank. So it's like, can I drink exactly 10 milliliters of water? I have no idea. Okay. Oh, I think that was game number 10. Game number 11. Throw a bit of water onto something, and so you've got to have a target. So let's say you've got a cup of water, and then you're chucking it onto, let's say, that leaf over there, and then you throw the water, and then the smallest diameter that your thing makes, the more points you get. So yeah, I just made a really long line, so I'd get very few points. But maybe it's like the distance from the from where you are to the closest bit of water, because I notice if you look at the water here, the water is kind of just in a line towards me. Maybe that's the way that water goes in this physical world. So let's try again. I feel like I'm always going to have a little... No. Yeah, it's only worked that way because I was right at the end of the glass, but there doesn't seem to be much in it. Okay, game number 11. Was that 10 or 11? I lost count. That was also terrible. Okay, game number 11. Okay, something to do with physical gestures. Maybe telling the time, and the first person to shout the time grabs the dice and says a new time. So it would be, 12. Okay, and everyone else says 12, and then the first person who says 12 grabs the dice, and it's like, okay, 5, 3, 4, 5. Is that not? if people are facing me, it would be going round the other way. That's actually quite tricky to think about. So that's actually 5 o'clock. No, 5 o'clock is like that. Man, I'm terrible at this game. So yeah, that's just an idea that I had at the start of the show. That's not a new idea. Let's go back to this. Game number 12. Okay. Draw a picture of... Oh, maybe you're drawing that many beetroots or pineapples. The first person to draw 4 pineapples wins the game, wins the point. So I've got to draw 4 pineapples, and if people don't agree that they're pineapples, then so people could then say, okay, is this a pineapple or is it not? And it's like, okay, is that a pineapple or is it not? And if I've drawn 4 pineapples and I'm the first person to grab the die, then I've won. Maybe that feels like that could actually be a game. Like something about you've got to draw something as quickly as you can, multiple times, and get everyone else to identify it. I mean, this is going to be a lot of whiteboards or paper, but what if you had like little bits of paper, like let's say there's 5 players, everyone's got 4 bits of paper or 4 whiteboards, which makes 20, and now that means that you have a card that says pineapple, for example, and then you need to, as quickly as you can, give a card and have everyone guess, okay, that's a pineapple, something like that. Maybe everyone's doing this simultaneously. They flip over a card and then they put it over. And when you look at someone else's card and you say, is this what it is? And then, so you write down the word, you actually write it down, and then they say yes or no. And maybe after you show it, so you maybe only need 1 mic marker, so you kind of scribble that out and give it to another person. And each time you guess correctly, you get like a point, and the person who guessed all of theirs correctly gets, for every person who guesses yours correctly, you get a point. And when one person has had their thing guessed by everyone else, then the round ends. That feels like it could be a game. That's game number 13. That could be a game. It's not a game that I'm able to play, but that's a game that I'm going to write down. So draw, pass secretly, or maybe pass openly, and someone else guesses and writes the word. So you pass secretly, and maybe you need to work around the circle. But then maybe if you're working around the circle and the last person all the way to your left knows that they're the last person, maybe they just wouldn't want to end the round yet, because maybe they aren't getting. So yeah, you pass secretly, get word, points each. The only problem with getting a point each with this kind of game is that it's secret information. It's really easy to cheat. It might still be worth trying out. Game number 14. Stand on a chair. How long can you stand on a chair for? I mean, this falls into the whole... Games fall into the how long, how much, be the last person to do this, be the first person to do this, get the most points, get the fewest points. Fundamentally, it's either first, last, most, or fewest. That's all you can do with games. But then when you think about it, it's the ways to get the most. It's like how you get the most. Like in Jungle Speed, getting the most points, in Jungle Speed, getting the being the first to get rid of your cards is completely different to I'm trying to think of another first, to Formula D, which is be the first to get round the track. And it's what is the activity that you're doing? I mean, is it just an activity that's like stand on a chair? The standing on a chair is not interesting. There has to be a key interesting component. And that is the key thing that makes a game into something that's actually fun. and that's what I'm just struggling with today. I mean, I liked this game, like the game about the animals. I mean, that felt like I had something there. Like I might even draw this. I don't know. I might work out the maths, but I don't want to be just talking about numbers and working out maths whilst you all watch. Um, okay, what is a fun thing to do? Spotting matches is a fun thing to do. Um, Being confused is a fun thing to do, genuinely, because there's games where it's all about that slight bits of confusion. Oh, yeah, I just realised that I've got into 1056. I've only come up with those ideas. I've not had anything that I've been actually able to play today. Um, I guess the flip over a card, roll died, write the three words that starts with that many letters for each match, get 1 point. Yeah, I'm going to test that on Tuesday and Friday. I'll test it on Friday, see how it goes. Maybe test it on Tuesday on my live stream. That'll be interesting. And so, yeah, that's a game, and that's something that I can easily test. And if it's any good, then great. If it's not any good, then not much time wasted. And this is an idea that'll probably be as good as the art, and that'll probably be fun to draw. So maybe I'll do that just for the sake of it, because why not? And clearly, I don't have enough projects, even though I haven't done many things off my to-do list recently. Why am I always distracting myself with more things to do? Oh my goodness. So Alan Albertson, going back to the comments, asks how many numbers between 1 and 36 can't be achieved by multiplying two dice together? Can you create any number between 1 and 100 with 3 dice? I don't know. That's something that I'd have to ponder. Certainly can do 1 to 6, 7 cut. Then you've got the twos. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 with the twos. Then you've got 8, 10, 12. It basically adds. Times 3, it's 3. It's you've got the 9, 12. We've already got 15, 18 times 4 adds on the 12. We've already got 16 and 20, 24, and 6, 5 adds the 20. We've already got 15. We've already got 10. We've already got and so 25, and 6 adds on the 18. We've already got 12. We've got 24 and 30 and 36. I believe the answer is 18, so exactly half of them. And the answer is no, clearly not. Even if you start, what was that number all about? I mean, what was that question? That's an. I guess that's a few minutes of distraction, but I'm sorry that we've not really been able to achieve anything. I guess sometimes you just ponder things and you can't achieve anything. Sometimes you ponder things and you can achieve things. And Alan, I don't know if you saw my little, if you were here for the start where I talked about achieving death. You could play, you wanted to play instant death. There were some issues, but maybe you'll have some fun with it and try it and work out a solution to it yourself. If you find out a solution that works, then feel free to submit it to me, like as an evolution, and then it would be great to have you as a co-designer potentially. But this brings us to the end of the stream, and for now, I want to say thank you very much for watching. Thank you, Alan. Thank you, Jess. Thank you, Richard. And I will be back tomorrow. And tomorrow I am going to talk about. What am I going to talk about? Yeah, I'm going to do a review of Say Anything. Yeah. I'll do no. I don't know. Either Ayunu or Pandemic Legacy. Parts of me wants. Yeah, I'll do Pandemic Legacy tomorrow. So tomorrow I will be watching. I'll be chatting about Pandemic Legacy tomorrow. I'll be potentially, if you don't want to have spoilers about Pandemic Legacy, then you might want to give that to skip. But what I will do just is I will have a little banner that says spoilers now. Mute until this banner goes away, something like that. And then I'll have that spoiler banner kind of whenever I'm talking about spoilers. So yeah, Pandemic Legacy, I'm going to talk about that. Yeah, that's for tomorrow. I will start probably lining up a whole bunch of these. I'm going to consider having some guests, maybe if I can encourage some of my friends like Alan Paul or Charlie Paul, or some people from America, from Australia, maybe, because clearly America's too early right now. But I hope that wherever you are, you have a good day and you have something that you are looking forward to. What am I looking forward to? I'm looking forward to talking with Jason Hodgson in a wee bit. I'm also looking forward to doing some exercise because I've not done exercise this morning, and it's a bit chilly, and I'm looking forward to getting in. But for now, stay strong, stay safe, stay sane, be brilliant, and bye bye, bye bye. This is the goodbye song. Bye bye, bye bye. Thank you for watching along. Do 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 do. Bye bye, bye bye. This is the goodbye song. Bye bye, bye bye. Thank you for watching along. Bye bye, bye bye. This is the end of the show. Bye bye, bye bye. And now it's time to go. Bye bye.